Welcome back to Twisted Metal Customs. If you haven't been keeping up, this is episode 3 of the VH Revival Rust to Resto. In this episode, we're going to be doing hammer and dollying, rust repair, and hopefully get this thing in primer, ready for the booth to paint. But I have done some previous work on this already last break, so I'm going to insert that video and footage soon, but we're going to continue on that today and tomorrow for this weekend's video. Progress update is I've been sanding my little fingers to the bone. I went around with the Orbi and got what I could with 320 grit, and now I'm just going around with 240 grit because I want it pretty coarse. Because, well, basically if this was rust free and you can fix the dents and you didn't get a lot of steel rub throughs, you could basically just hit it with 320. And then I would probably do a high build primer, because high build primer fills a lot of scratches, and then block that back and go from there. But because I've got rust repair to do on this front, oh yeah, the window's out. Got rust repair to do on the front. There's maybe 1, 2, 10, 11 sections along the front here. That's going to be a fair little stint. And also this back lip of the boot, pretty much haggard. So if I can make something for that full lip, I'll probably just replace the whole lot. And a little bit down here, just the lip, return lip, pinhole. But regardless, because I have to do that work, I'm going to put epoxy primer on this car. So as you know, epoxy primer is non-porous, that's right, and you can basically leave it forever and a day and won't get water penetration and rust. So most of my Restos I use epoxy. You've probably seen that, unless they're a newer car which the paint is good and I'm not rubbing through and it's sort of just a respray, then you just paint over the top of the paint. It's the easiest and cheapest way to do it. But as you're well aware, I like to get basket cases of cars and spend forever and a day just sanding it and doing rust repair. So it is what it is. If you got a lower budget, generally you'll have to do a lot more work yourself. I've done a little bit of panel beating yesterday. Sort of hammered out a little bit. The left side's pretty good. I've got a bit more to do on the front here, but I need some reference pictures to see how much of a curve it actually has. Knocked out some dents in the back bodywork, and I need to do some dent pulling on this nice big crease here. You can see it's got a nice big, double crease there. That's going to be a bit harder than the usual dent. But I must say, I normally work on 1960s, 70s maybe, but these later model cars, you guys are bloody lucky. This thing is like plastic, like Play-Doh. Like I had a huge dent here in the bottom of the floor pan, like it was up maybe 3 inches. So I got a block of timber and a hammer and 2 hits and I just popped it down. So like, I can see why there's a few little dents in it, but it's thin metal. Like it's pretty easy to manipulate. There's a big crease in the back quarter that I showed you in that time lapse. Like it took maybe 3 minutes to knock it out. Also, check out the merch shop because it's got some cheap merch in there, Aussie made, and a couple of bucks for a sale for me because I don't deal with the stuff, but that all helps go towards stuff like this and keeping these production videos rolling. And yeah, anyway, check it out. And now I just whipped out the Sandblaster and just hit all the scalia rust on the channels and whatnot, just because it's easier rather than trying to sand it down. So it's all been hit. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I'm good to start putting some epoxy on. Now I'm just going to do it in the paddock out here because again I'm going to block most of this back anyway. It's just a sealer and a protectant rather than a final. I'm still going to do high build primer, all that sort of stuff, so it's not a huge drama for me to do this. That's the primer done on the engine bay and well, half of this side actually ran out, so I need to get some more primer. So I've got a lot of people watching my stuff that's not subscribed. Just smash that subscribe button later on. If you think it's shit, then unsubscribe, no worries at all, but you never know, I might surprise you. Because this old girl's going up to Just Autos at Nambour to get some much needed work done to it. I've got injectors clutch is about going, so I've got a heavy duty clutch and stuff put in. Possibility of a little bit of a tune up. So I'm pretty excited to get this back and drivable. Alrighty, so that should get you up to date, and we're back to where we currently are. Half in primer, because I ran out. I still haven't got any more. That's another story. So after that primer, it come up pretty good, and it has been sitting in the weather for 2 weeks while I was at work. So you see, and it has rained, so you can see that, you know, that this epoxy primer is pretty damn good, and that's why I recommend it. And I always go to that for anything that I do, purely for that reason, so you know it's non-porous. It doesn't flash rust underneath like etchwood or anything else. Once this car is done and dusted and painted and all finished, and as you guys have commented on the last video, I'm going to be getting stuck into the VJ Charger. So, and it is one hell of a rust trap. So if you're looking forward to rust repair videos and a lot of how to and what I do, see even some in the roof here. So she's going to be a doozy. Sorry I've been waffling on too long, but thought I'd give you an update on what's going on so far. I've got the 440 big block getting built at the moment. Well, I'm building it, so I'm editing and videoing that as well. And the Rat Rod 1942 jail bar, getting it all wired up and switched up. So I'm all over the shop, but hey, it's what I'm good for, eh? Let's get back into this VH. All right, the next day, and I've got a panel in here. I can't make room in here for the car, so I can't do any car rust repair or hammer and dollying, but I'll get the worst guard just to do a thorough, you know, what I do on hammer and dollying, especially this one that's this bad. If you haven't seen the XP front panels I did, they were basically unrepairable. They were absolutely buggered. And I got them straight-ish. So if I can do that, I can do this one. You see, that's the nice kink in it. You've got that massive downward force there and there, like a tree's hit it or something. And there's a lot of other dints over it, but what I do generally is try to get it straight as possible before I sand it. So I use the existing paint and everything as a guide as I'm sanding it down. So the aerial cord here hanging off. Alrighty, so that is basically the bulk of the hammer and dolly done. You see it doesn't take much, hey? It's just like, just jump on there and hammer on, hammer off. Technique, Google that with the dolly, where you need to use which technique. And you can see that's pretty well straight now, like, well, straighter than what it was. I've still got this little kick here, you can see. I'm just going to check against the other guard and make sure it's not supposed to be there or not. If anything, it needs to just be bent out, pushed in, but we'll see. I'll check that in a minute, but basically now I use the paint. I've got to sand it anyway, right? So guys, I'm at my wit's end with this freaking GoPro. I tell you what, this last week, I've lost maybe about 3 hours worth of footage. Me talking to the camera, explaining things in detail, or no sound, no audio. Like, it's just worse. Freaking $1,300 I've spent. Anyway, this is the panel. I'm not sure what footage. I think your last one that worked was the time lapse. But basically, in short, I use this panel. I don't prime it or anything first. If the paint's good and solid underneath, like a good foundation, then you can paint over top of it with paint. If you're doing like your own car, or you know, a car like this, you'll take it back to steel. A car like this, you take it back to steel. A car like that, just paint over it, it's fine. What I said before is that I don't want to go into too much detail and, you know, into the thorough process of restoring a vehicle, because I'm just, right now I'm a talking head, and 90% of you don't really care too much about the talking head part. You just want to see stuff, you know, entertainment. So I am working on a subscription for YouTube where I'm going to do beginner and maybe intermediate level restoration videos on exactly in detail how to do restoration yourself in your own workshop for the beginner and intermediate level. You know, if you're advanced or a pro, yeah, obviously it's not for you, but I'd say 90% of the people watching this video are just, you know, home DIYers. So I'm more appealing to you guys that you want that little bit of extra knowledge to be able to get back in that shed and get started on your project you've been sitting in there for maybe a couple of years or months, whatever. So if that's something that would be tickling your fancy to have access to, you know, I'll upload 1 or 2 thorough, you know, maybe feature long length videos on how to restore this. I don't have to worry about editing as much. It's just basically me talking and showing how to do something. If that's something that you'd be interested in subscribing to, let me know below. And if that's the case, if I get enough numbers, I'll probably start recording those videos in depth. And as you can see, we've got a shit ton of rust repair and fabrication, everything to do, and respraying and whatnot, because I'm trying to keep this Twisted Metal Customs channel somewhat relatively entertaining, or as best as my ability can do. So it's not boring people. So I'm still trying to build this channel. I don't want to be just doing what I'm doing right now and talking blah, blah, blah. So this point I am, but I'm explaining to you why I don't want to do that. Anyway, if that's something that you'd be interested in, please let me know below, because I do need to have numbers before it's worthwhile in doing that, because it's a whole nother basically private set of videos for you subscribers that be in detail. So a lot of waffling on at the moment, but I just wanted to explain to you all that stuff. So please let me know below if you're keen on that subscription. When I get back to you next time, I'm going to have more epoxy. I'm going to need to go spend a couple of grand on more materials. We'll continue on this build, and hopefully I'll have all this crap cleaned up and the VH sitting in here, so I can start doing the rust repair and the rest of that epoxy primer on that, and hopefully get some nice paint on it. I'm thinking midnight blue. So let me know what you think, but I'm thinking midnight blue. Be cool, right? See what happens. Thanks for, if you're still here now, thanks for putting up with all my talking, but yeah, it is what it is. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you haven't, it means a lot to me, and give this video a like to help me progress and build this channel. Thank you, see you next weekend. We've got some 440 big block action. I'm getting it together, which is awesome. See ya.